Hello and welcome to the Make Money with Mace podcast. I'm your host Mace, and we're going to be talking some NFL football with a sprinkling of college championship weekend previews. Had a pretty good week knocking on the table. Last week when it came to Thanksgiving picks, I think I won a total of, doing the math real quick, NFL, I went 6-1-1, which obviously is a big, nice swing over the Thanksgiving weekend, and had the fun, part of that 6 was the fun parlay that hit, so the anytime touchdown scoring parlay, so that was a good, fun weekend of college football and NFL football betting. College wasn't so hot, ended up being a 4-5 weekend, but going 10-6 on the whole is not terrible, so gonna be taking that and just gonna jump right into, holy crap, it's already week 13 which is sort of hard to believe at this point, but with week 13 on the horizon, we've got the Thursday night game. The Seattle Seahawks are going to the Dallas Cowboys, and I think this has a real chance to be a complete whomping. This is what Dallas does at home. They thrashed the Rams at home, and Seattle lost to the Rams twice. So I'm just going to go simple analysis. Don't even have to look at DVOA, which is a huge gap. Roster talent overall, pretty huge gap. Like, all of these factors are going against the Seahawks, aside from maybe coaching, but even then Mike McCarthy's been good this year. So I think Dallas at 9 is not too much for me, just because they they play games like it's the BCS. They love to run it up, especially at home. So I'm definitely taking them this week. Both teams coming off the Thursday game, so no inherent advantage, but it's just Dallas at home. Seattle's sort of in a skid, and they seem to have issues when they step up in class. So pretty easy pick for me, Dallas this week. And this was like a couple weeks ago where there were a bunch of really good teams on buys. So it's going to be not as interesting to talk about this week, unfortunately, because the first game I see, this is actually going to be my best bet on Sunday. Somehow the Chargers are only giving 6 against the Patriots. I know it's the Chargers, it's Brandon Staley traveling to Foxborough, and Belichick still has this reputation. The national sort of betting landscape and national media still thinks Bill Belichick is a good coach. He's been a terrible coach for the past 3 years. Obviously, he's been a worse GM. And like I've said many times before, it dates back to 2018, where he tried to trade Gronk mid-season. The same season, Gronk was one of the biggest reasons you won the Super Bowl. So that's where Belichick's been at for a number of years now. And I think it's just taking a very long time for the betting public to see the Patriots logo and realize it means ineptitude instead of a good standard. So the Chargers are so much more talented and have much better quarterback play. And I don't even know if Brandon Staley's that worse than Belichick as a head coach. Kellen Moore's they're calling offensive plays bare minimum. And Bill O'Brien, I don't think, is like the big problem with the Patriots, but he hasn't been perfect, obviously. And Kellen Moore's been more of a proven commodity in the NFL for a number of years now. So that's where I'm thinking on that one. And yeah, the Patriots are just so awful. It doesn't really matter. And the fact that you don't have any cornerbacks at all against Keenan Allen, who's playing the best football of his career. Get ready for a breakout game. Get ready for Keenan Allen. Like, in J.C. Jackson, like the revenge factor, like the Chargers are going to kill the Patriots. It's going to be ugly. And yeah, I just think it's going to be an ugly, ugly game. Definitely going to be my favorite this week. Going to be one of my favorites for sure. So yeah. Take the Chargers. Then we've got Detroit at New Orleans. Obviously, Detroit's been playing pretty poor football the past, I want to say 2 weeks. I think there was I think it was 3 weeks. I think it might have just been the past 2 games. They're coming off a pretty extended bye. Obviously, Alex Anzalone's hurt. The defense is playing really poorly. However, the Saints might be a good salvo for that, because the Saints have been really bad offensively this year. And defensively, obviously, they're stingy, but it's just a matter of if Goff can get out of the slump or not. I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, spread-wise, I mean, Detroit is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. They are a better football team. The over-under is 46, which is pretty good. Like, Detroit's over-unders are 7-3. Or 7-4, rather. And New Orleans is 3-8, so it's sort of like, unstoppable force, immovable object. But 46 is fairly reasonable, especially against a Detroit defense that has fallen off pretty considerably. Like, defensively, I think they are now by DVOA, they still rank 10th, which is weird. But weighted wise, yeah. Let me take a look at their defense weight. Defense, Detroit's defense. Yeah, so they either have a great performance or a terrible performance, and they rank 31st in defensive variance, like in terms of like consistency of performance. So I think that is a pretty good indicator of where they're at. And I think that 31st number could, show its head in a positive way against a team that has a very vanilla, struggling offense. So I take the Lions in this one. I'm not really confident on a bet on this game, so just going to take the Lions and hope for the best. The Saints are just very depressing, too. Sorry for the pregnant pause there, but yeah, the Saints are just incredibly depressing. They're not a great football team at this point. I think that the defensive talent is being wasted, and as well as the offensive talent. I think Derek Carr is very not good at quarterback. I think it was a mistake going after him instead of just sucking it up for a little bit and just rolling with a bad QB, or not even rolling. Like they needed to go to the bottom, and the Saints have been living in the middle for a number of years now. So a tank to the bottom would have best suited them, but I don't know if their GM and ownership have that mindset of just sort of letting the older veteran players' contracts finally get off the books, not really adding too many big money free agents, but they don't seem to operate that way, which their prerogative, of course. But just not confident in Derek Carr. I think Jameis would actually be a better option because he will threaten the ball down the field. Obviously, he has the turnovers and everything, but he is a gunslinger, and that's fun, bare minimum. And you might run your way into some points against a Lions defense that's been incredibly inconsistent. But against a not good scheme with a not good QB, I could see them having defensive success against New Orleans. So the Lions are probably going to cover this. I know it's moved to 4. It opened at 3.5, so that's pretty comfortable. The next game, the Atlanta Falcons at the New York Jets. The Jets are so depressing, but the Falcons aren't particularly great. The Falcons' defense, bare minimum, is actually pretty dang good. So I know Atlanta by DVOA ranks is really bad, which is weird to me because they're not really all that bad. They do perform well. They win games. So I think that Ritter is bad for sure. Ritter will look bad, but I think the Jets are just in such a terrible spot that I don't know how they can keep it up. Their defense, I don't know how they can keep it up. Especially if Tim Boyle's starting. It should be Trevor Siemian, but who knows? I'm going to wait to declare any action on this game. But the under is definitely in play. It's at 34 for 34 for a professional under is preposterous. That's insane. So, however you feel about that, for sure, go after it. All that. That's such a terrible, terrible line for what should be a pretty much a struggle fest, because the Jets defense still plays hard. I don't see this game. If the Falcons win by multiple scores, it'd be 20-6. I don't see this game going higher than that. I don't see either team getting to 30. Just doesn't seem pretty feasible in my estimation. So definitely go with the under on that one. The next game on the docket, Arizona Cardinals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know that everyone lost their mind because Pat Freiermuth had a good fantasy day, and Kenny Pickett and the offense moved the ball. There were no points scored, which that's still the goal of offense, is to score points, and only scoring 16 points with 400 yards of offense is still a problem. And I think that they'll need to score points against Arizona. I mean, Arizona did get thumped by the Rams, but I view the Rams more highly than I think most people do. They've got really good players, good coaching. They're young and They're very young, lots of undrafted free agents, lots of guys with not really great pedigree, but they do what they're supposed to do, and most of their losses, I'd actually just say all their losses are just a talent deficiency more than anything else. So getting thumped by a team that is just better than you, like the way that Arizona did, is not that embarrassing, obviously. And I think that with Kyler, they flashed the ability to score points and to have good offensive days, and Pittsburgh plays a pretty vanilla scheme, so they could take advantage of that. Obviously, Pittsburgh's defense is very, very good. Pass rush incredible, but Kyler can neutralize that with his just pure athleticism, so should be an interesting game. I do think it can go over 41, but that all depends on whether or not the offense for judging their offense against the Bengals too, because the Bengals will allow you to move the ball. They just tighten up big time once you get into the red zone. They will live with field goals all day, every day, which is a very smart way to approach the game, because obviously you can't go into an NFL game expecting to pitch a shutout. But if you're able to tighten up in the areas that matter the way Cincinnati can, that's why I think the yardage is not that impressive that Pittsburgh had last week. So it's just a weird game. I do think pretty confidently that Arizona can win this game, or at least cover 5.5. That's a way too much respect for Pittsburgh. So yeah, going with that. Indy at Tennessee. Good lord. Tennessee's a home dog. Just take them. Honestly, that's what I've got. Tennessee being a home dog is the biggest reason to bet on this game. I just don't know what to make of Indy or Tennessee. Indy actually is playing good ball, but I don't see them winning. I don't know. They just seem like a 500-ish team. Making the playoffs wouldn't do them any good, but I don't think they're going to think with that mindset. I think they're going to try to win games because it is the NFL. But man, I don't really know what to make of that game, because Gardner Minshew at any given moment can throw the game away as much as he can win it. Jonathan Taylor's hurt, which obviously hurts the offense, but Zach Moss has been good. The offensive line's been good. So it's just a matter of whether or not Tennessee just comes out and punches you in the mouth and how Indy responds to that. But I don't know. It's a weird game. But Tennessee is undefeated in the city of Nashville this year, so I might expect that trend to continue. So that is something to consider. Next game, Miami at Washington. The Dolphins are significantly better. The Washington defense is terrible. Both these teams coming off of a couple extra days rest. Obviously, the field in Washington is not very good. Miami's home road splits offensively are what they are. They're not very good. But Miami is just a much better overall team. We'll see the health of Devin Achane and how much that matters in this upcoming game. Hopefully he plays for my purposes. But I think that Washington, I don't know what to make of Washington. I know that Miami's missing Jalen Phillips, but I think the defense for Miami is very, very good. They're not like outstanding or anything like that, but they make big plays. They've got big-time playmakers at each level of defense. So I think Miami will be able to cover 9.5 fairly easily, especially against a pretty poor Washington team. Sam Howell, I don't know what to make of, because he is responsible for the vast majority of his own sacks. It's like quarterback sacks, like I've mentioned this before, like once you get to past 3 seconds, that's no longer on the QB. Once you get past 3 seconds of pass protection, I think that sack responsibility is transferred from offensive linemen. Like it's offensive line, wide receivers not getting separation, then a quarterback, and that's like a 2.5 seconds, 2.75 seconds, 3 seconds. And once you get past 3 seconds, I think that the quarterback has the responsibility of getting the ball out of their hands in any capacity, whether it be scrambling and throwing the ball away, throwing the ball like only where your guy can get it, like just no intentional grounding plays, obviously, but also just get the ball out, let your receiver make a play, that sort of thing, in rhythm, all that good stuff, and holding onto the ball and asking linemen to block for as long as they do, the way Sam Howell has held onto the ball this year, is just not tenable. And even without Jalen Phillips, I can imagine Bradley Chubb and Van Ginkel, just Christian Wilkins ruining the day of Washington's offense. So, and that's aside from the fact that Washington's defense is very, very bad. They had talent, but they traded their 2 edge rushers, and not setting the edge against this Miami rushing attack is going to be nightmarish for them. So keep that in mind when betting Miami 9.5, which I will be doing. They're just a much, much, much better team. There's not that many games left to talk about, which is a bummer. So getting right into the next one, Denver at Houston. A couple months ago, I would have said this game is garbage. It turns out it's actually going to be really fun and really have good implications for the playoffs. Denver has been playing really good ball. In terms of just offense, is playing really good ball control and mistake-free football, and just keeping the game winnable at the end. The defense is doing the same thing, where it's not fantastic. It's definitely been good. Obviously, the 70-point game is going to ruin any sort of defensive metrics they have. I think even after last week, right? After last week, team defense. Yeah, DVOA, Denver's never recovering. They are creeping up in terms of their averages. Like their weighted rank is now 30th in terms of just, which is really good, obviously. They've gone up in weighted rank. Pass rank, they're 28th. Rush rank, they're 31st. And like that weight is important. I think anyways, just because it's showing with signs of life. It's showing improvement. It's showing that they are better than the 70-point game. And they did give 35 points to Sam Howell. They did give up 28 to Justin Fields, rather. So I think their defense playing a much, much better ball is really a key driver to this. And I think that even with that being the case, I want to see how Houston responds to a game where they could have won it. They're in position to win it. They couldn't really seal the deal against Jacksonville. The inexperience started to show. So I think that this will be a good test for Houston. If anything, I like the over in this, 47.5. I think both teams will be able to score. I think this game being like 24-23 or 27. Actually, it's 47.5. So I think that this game can end up being like, 28-20, 27-21. Sort of living in that range, just because these offenses are capable, and with the defenses being solid but not great, and I think the offenses for each team being slightly better than the opposing defenses. Like there's good weapons on the outside, good quarterbacks, good scheme, good play calling. All of that stuff is sort of congealing for both these teams that are heading in the right direction. So I think that the over is definitely in play. I wouldn't be shocked if the under hits, just because that's the way the NFL's gone this year. But I think Denver at Houston is very interesting. It should be a very fun, quality game at the 1 o'clock slate. So if you like quality football, I'd take the over in that one. Next one, Carolina, Tampa. This game kind of stinks. Obviously, Frank Reich's fired, but Carolina's a mess. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. They don't really have they're just like they kept the Super Bowl core together with no real goal in mind. And I think that ended up being detrimental. And I think that whatever high value pick they get this year will be very beneficial for them, like being out of playoff contention and being able to rebuild at the higher area of the draft. Potentially get a quarterback in the early second round using trades, trade backs, whatever the case may be. Like they could really use a, Jaden Daniels or whoever else that could be found later in the draft outside the top 2 guys. So I think that there's still talent on that roster, and they're a better overall football team than the Panthers. And the line reflects that, because they're only 5.5-point favorites, which is too many in my estimation. I think Tampa Bay wins this game kind of going away. I know the new coach bump is a thing and all that stuff, but I don't know. I can't trust Carolina. Obviously, they were playing better football and like they looked competent against Tennessee, but I don't know. I think Tampa Bay is a better team than Tennessee, and I think that Tennessee took care of business against Carolina, and I think you can sort of expect that transitive property to continue that trend. So give me Tampa Bay. Next game is very interesting in terms of spreads and how everything's moved and where the money is. So Philadelphia home dog to San Francisco. Obviously, San Francisco is 8-0 when Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel have played in the games. That's a huge deal. Absolutely is. DVOA-wise, you've got number... This is actually very funny. This is reminiscent of me looking at DVOA stats and be like the Patriots against somebody. And the Patriots never looked great advanced analytically. Obviously, they just continue to win games, but they never really were like a top one DVOA sort of team. They were always like in like the, they lived in like the 5 to 10 range back in like the 2014 era. So you've got that aspect of it, right, where Tom Brady, I'm just talking about Tom Brady because I miss him, but Philadelphia's defense has been on and off this year. Absolutely has been. It has not been a good unit. It has not been a unit. It's unfair to call them truly bad because they have faced a pretty tough schedule. I think that their schedule defensively, I just want to see where they rank in that aspect, because they have the 17th ranked defense. Schedule rank, if I'm reading this correctly, if they've got the number 1 schedule rank. So, I think I am reading this correctly. The schedule rank would be the strongest opponents. Like, number 1 would be Jacksonville has had the hardest schedule in terms of defensive assignments, because they're ranked number 1, Cleveland 4. And you have Dallas ranked 32nd, and they faced the Giants twice, the Commanders, the Patriots, and that by itself makes them ranked 32nd. I'm just going to keep looking at it. Yeah, like Buffalo 31st, Miami 30th. Those are teams that have played the Patriots and the Jets. It's a pretty good barometer. So, yeah, I think that's the way it looks. So Philadelphia ranks 15th, so sort of dead in the middle. They have a dead in the middle schedule, dead in the middle defensive rating. I will say their pass defense has sort of been the bugaboo. Their rush defense has been really pretty good, which is notable considering their rush defense will be key in sort of trying to contain Christian McCaffrey. So look at offensive DVOA, schedule rank 8th. So San Francisco's been doing it against good teams. Which is obviously a good thing. So I think that San Francisco, obviously uber talented, will be able to take advantage of Philadelphia in the passing game in the way Buffalo has, and the way other teams have been able to take advantage of Philadelphia's pretty poor defense in the back end of it. What they won't be able to do as easily is bully teams in the run game, because even with Big Trent Williams, they still have a really great defensive line. It's not as good as it was last year, but it's still a great defensive line with great interior and exterior players. So Trent Williams' life is going to be made more difficult just by having to face Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and whoever else lines up outside. Hassan Reddick will make his life difficult. And then so you have that going for you. And then in the middle, obviously Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis. That rotation is disgusting. It's so good. And San Francisco's offensive line outside of Trent Williams is really pretty bad. So with all that considered, I am definitely thinking, this is where it gets weird, right? I don't know what San Francisco's defense really is, right? Because defensively, they face the 28th easiest schedule, and they rank 20th in rush defense, 5th in pass defense, and they've been able to pin their ears back. And obviously, they had that one impressive game against the Cowboys in early October, I believe. So they have that really impressive win, and they shut down Seattle, and they shut down. When they get ahead, they play great football, but when they get behind, they seem to be incapable of stopping it, and that rush rank is very concerning, because if Philadelphia has a power front that will be able to run on the San Fran NASCAR style front, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, that combo has not been the same, and obviously the Talanoa Hufanga injury is massive, especially when it comes to downfield threats. So I think with all that being the case, I truly do love the Eagles as a dog. I think being in Philadelphia, I know that the 49ers had the extra day of rest and everything, but I think being in Philadelphia, not having to travel, I know it's a 4:25 game, so pretty natural start time at the 1 p.m. spot for San Fran, so shouldn't be too bad. But I don't know. Philly just has been playing excellent ball. It's in their home stadium, harsh environment. Brock Purdy needs to show me something against a really good team, and not just like a Dak threw 4 interceptions and now I capitalized off a short field. I want to see how he functions against a team that is comfortable being down and then just coming back and lighting everybody up. And that's what Philly's been doing. Also a very important matchup here is the special teams. Jake Elliott's a monster. That dude, that kick he made in the rain, 59 yards driving rain with leg to spare. Crazy. Unreal kick. Jake Moody's not making a kick like that at all. He's been very bad. The kickers drafted have been bad. San Fran's punting, if their special teams ranks 27th, I imagine their punting is also not good. That's just sort of how that's how I imagine special teams to be typically. So I think that will be the case in this one. I think that Jake Elliott will be a difference because he's points, right? You don't have to really think about it with him. You can just run him out there, trot him out, get 3 points when you're in field goal position, and just accumulate that and not have to worry about, it's 4th and 6 on the 30. What do? They don't have to go for it. They can just put points on the board and apply pressure that way. So I think that is how that game's going to go. I think if it comes down to a field goal or if it's tight in any capacity, Philadelphia wins this game. San Fran needs to blow teams out to beat them. It's sort of been proven at this point with Kyle Shanahan that he needs to blow teams out to beat them. So definitely taking Philly, I think, in this one. They just got good vibes. Philly's got good vibes this year. Next game, Cleveland at the Rams. Obviously Browns fans will travel, so it won't be a game, but it's gonna be like it might be Joe Flacco out there. Give me the Rams, for real. I think the Rams, and what's the over under? The Rams and the under, if you want to parlay that's 40. DraftKings has it at 40 right now. FanDuel 39.5. So if you want to parlay the Rams and the under, go for it because that's what's probably going to happen. I think the Rams are what? Yeah, 5-point favorite, 3.5-point favorites right now, 4-point favorites. It opened at 5. Myles Garrett's arm was in a sling. If Myles Garrett's not playing, just give me the Rams all day, every day. I think McVay is going to also just out-coach Stefanski. So, love that. And then Kansas City at Green Bay, end of the night. I don't know what to make of this game because obviously I think LaFleur is a really good coach, and we did see Jordan Love against Steve Spagnuolo defense, but that was on 2 hours notice or less than a day's notice. It was crazy short notice because Aaron Rodgers is a lunatic. So I think I don't really know. I don't want to touch this game because Kansas City's been really bad at covering. I don't know what Lambeau difference will be made. I don't know what's going to go on with this game. At all. It'll be good jerseys to look at, that's what I could say about that for sure. So I don't know. I do not know. It's a weird game. I think there could be points to be had in that. I think Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark played out of their minds against Detroit, which they're prone to do. They're great football players. The over-under is 42, which Kansas City's defense has been awesome, and I don't know what to expect from them offensively. So, I don't know. Might be a good stay away. Monday night, give me the Jags. That's just sad. That would have been an awesome, awesome game with Burrow. But Jacksonville's been playing good ball since he has lost their quarterback, who's one of the 5 best in the NFL. Arguably the best at his absolute best. So, give me Jacksonville on that game. And then a quick look ahead to... I clicked NBA. Give me a quick look ahead on NCAA football. Give me championship weekend, December 1st, Friday. Oregon at Washington. I think Oregon's going to win this game. Washington has not looked good at all since beating Oregon, funnily enough. And Oregon's looked like possessed. And, 28-year-old Bo Nix, given the Heisman, I guess, career achievement award. Like if it was truly for the best player in college football, it would not be going to Bo Nix because he's not the best player on his own team. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Is that a little mean, a little bitter? It's true. Yeah, it's true. It is a little mean. It is a little bitter. However, I just hate Bo Nix. He's not very good. For the American Athletic Conference, for all you sickos out there, New Mexico State and Liberty are playing. New Mexico State, Jerry Kill got them playing good ball. But Liberty, undefeated, 8-4 against the spread. New Mexico State is 10-2-1 against the spread. Their over-unders are 4-9. I don't know. It's playing Williams Stadium. I don't know. It says at Liberty. I want to say New Mexico State lost to UMass Amherst early in the year. I want to say that was a thing, which is really funny. But Diego Pavia, kind of a beast. So, yeah, I think this should actually be a pretty fun game. Like, all jokes aside, like 10-3 against 12-0, mid-major stuff. Liberty, I could see New Mexico State covering, but Liberty winning, if people are into that. But yeah, Oregon, Washington, I think Oregon's going to win. I really do. I feel like, also just getting into the Saturday games, I think Texas is going to beat Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State had their championship game against Oklahoma, and obviously they've been playing these weird games where they let their opponent get up by $1 billion and then they come back and win. But Texas is too talented to allow that to happen, and I think that will just continue to happen for Oklahoma State, unfortunately. But Texas to cover 14.5 is a lot in a championship game. But I do think that Texas can cover that and likely will win the game. Maction for all the Ford Field enthusiasts, all the Mac enthusiasts. Toledo's going to kill Miami of Ohio. Toledo's awesome. Toledo's actually just like a really good team. They're 11-1. I think they beat somebody that was like good. I think they beat Illinois earlier in the year, who aren't good, but like they're a good team. like they win games. Like Illinois put up points. They're in a power conference, and Toledo beat them. So make that what you will. Boise State, UNLV. I think Boise State's favored in that. I don't know anything about the Mountain West this year. Then we got SMU and Tulane. Tulane's the favorite. Actually, I'm just going to skip ahead to the games that are interesting. Louisville, if you're into a money line, they're going to be dogs. And obviously they lost to Kentucky, but that's like a Kentucky hates Louisville more than Louisville hates Kentucky sort of loss. And I think Florida State without Jordan Travis, this is a massive test, more than any other game they've played this year. So I can picture Louisville beating Florida State and money lines plus 120 or plus 118, depending on the book. But here's the bet I really want to talk about. Michigan at Iowa. So what you're going to want to do in this game is you want to take Michigan team total over and Iowa team total under. That's what you want to take. I want to see some odds. I want to see... Okay, yeah. Let me see. I'm just going to go in DraftKings and take a look at this real quick. Because there's no real way, I think, what's their face ends up winning this game. So let me take a look. Going to college football. College football, I'm in the daily fantasy. Give me the sports book. Give me the sports book. Give me college football. All right. So, here we go. It's just custom nonsense. I don't want any of that. I want game props. Here we go. Michigan to win by 31-36 is plus 550. Which, yeah, sure. Give me stats. Oh my god, like, why can't I find this? So, I want to see. Oh, here we go. I found a quarter. It's going to be popular stuff. So, Michigan, yeah. Okay, here we go. You're going to want take scoring props. I want to see scoring margin, team totals. Basically, you want to take Iowa under 9.5 and parlay that with Michigan over 24.5, which I'm not seeing the odds because I'm on my desktop and my desktop doesn't have good location sensor or whatever. But I think I'm just logging in real quick on my phone. Could have had this up. Basically, all right, college football. Go down. Give me Iowa, Michigan. All right. Scoring props. All right, team totals. So you're going to want, like I said, Iowa under 10.5. Or actually, go with Iowa under 9.5. Iowa under 9.5. Michigan over 24.5. Get you minus 110 if you're feeling freaky with it to get to plus. Yeah, so to make that plus, go Michigan over 26.5. Iowa under 9.5. That gets you to plus 108. So that's going to be the bet I put out, and I think it'll be a good one. So if you're into that, by all means. And hopefully you are. So, yeah. Thanks for all the college, hanging out, all the picks, all that good stuff. So appreciate everybody listening in. Obviously, I'll do some bowl games, but the full-on slates and college football spreads and picks and all that stuff was super fun. And I can't wait to do it again all next year. Probably do more of it next year. And, do 4 and 4, 5 and 5, maybe even more than my NFL bets. But I had a really good year, obviously. Up in units, up in wins. So hopefully that continues through the bowl season and should be really fun. And I can't wait for a big New Year's Day. Place a bunch of bets and hope for the best. So, yeah. This has been the pod. NBA doing well, 7-3-1. College hoops got one bet going tonight. It's the Duke Arkansas over, which is looking possible. Right now it's at 60. Gonna need a big second half from Duke and Arkansas, which is very much on the table. So, yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. Leave a like if you're on YouTube. Share it if you're on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. Leave a like on SoundCloud. We'll drop a follow on Spotify, whatever the case may be. But like and share wherever, and peace. Thank you.